Alright y'all, I'm on my way to Andrews again. You might have seen in one of our previous episodes we went out here and went after some African Pompano and luckily got one. Today we're going to try and get on some Wahoo. It's a little bit earlier in the season, water's below 80 so that helps out. We're going to hope that some come through and say hello and hopefully get some dinner. So yeah, anyway, Andrew's a good buddy of mine. I've dove with him many times. And he owns Formula Freediving, so go check him out if you're ever in Marathon in the Florida Keys, and he's got some great gear. So that's about it. See you on the water. Yeehaw. Alright guys, well welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and do a voiceover. I'm going to change up the way that I do it here. I'll voice over all the dives and everything, and I'll kind of start from just the duck dive, swimming all the way down, everything, so you'll see start to finish, or at least most of the dives will be that way. Just loading up here, you can see how clear everything is. Lots of bait on here, lots of different types of fish on here. It was looking good for the day. A little bumpy on the way out, but once we got out here it laid pretty flat and was nice by the evening. I think we were out here from about 3 o'clock to about 6, and sunset was at 5:30ish. Anyway, here's my first dive on this wreck, and you'll see there's fish all over it, all different species. These horse-eyed jacks came in and they were just beautiful. Really nice color there. I got a new camera, so that's helping a ton. I'm using a DJI instead of my GoPro Hero 8. I got that new DJI Action 4. And it's getting some good footage, so tell me what you think about it in the comments. That'd be awesome. But I just think it captures the low light a lot better. You can see this wreck here, it's huge, and you can make that out. It's about I'd say anywhere, we'll kind of go general depths just so I don't give everything away, but it's anywhere from 100 to 140 feet deep, and from the surface you can just about see the entire thing. So that's pretty good. The camera picks up actually more than I could see with my naked eye as far as the what the wreck looks like. But we implemented a lot of stuff here, Whitfield and I. Whitfield also came out with us. He's in the water with me right now with the white mask, throwing a lot of throw flashers like you're seeing here that I'm about to grab, just trying to see if I'll bring any Wahoo in, and looking around and just looking up in the water column, not just right straight down at the wreck. You also of course want to keep your eye on the wreck and see if anything like African Pompano or Yellowjack or whatever comes up, but we were kind of on a mission for Wahoo, so just kind of take a nice duck dive and just scan the area constantly. A lot of action was happening around the wreck, so I was hoping that we could maybe get a bonus African Pompano, and that's kind of what I was keeping my eye on. And you'll see all these fish kind of swimming around, and I'm just surveying. I'm not going real deep. You can see all that bait there, so I knew that there has to be some good fish coming up and checking all this out. So lots of different jack species I was seeing out there. But yeah, just doing a couple warm-up dives, nothing too crazy. Yeah. And you can see our flasher just kind of passing by the camera right there. That basically attracts the fish, or attempts to attract the fish and get their attention and bring them in. A lot of times Wahoo or Pompano, or really any fish, will come in and check it out because it'll see it bouncing up and down there. And I'm taking a dive here. This one I also didn't go too deep. I think maybe like 60 feet or something like that. The top of this wreck is at like 84, 82, depending on the tide. And you'll see a lot of species on this dive. You'll see some nice Jack Crevalle, really big ones at the bottom. But specifically, I wanted to show you guys this Bonita that comes in. A lot of people get them confused right there with like a blackfin tuna or something like that. Those Bonita, if you ever see them and you're spearfishing, they're a great fish to shoot and to chum. They're real oily. A lot of people use them to fish with. If you're a fisherman, you know all about them. But if you're new to spearfishing or fishing, anytime you can get one of those, they're kind of fast and hard to shoot. You gotta lead just a little bit ahead of them because they're going so fast. If you aim right where you want to shoot, by the time your spear reaches them, they're already past it. So you kind of got to lead the fish. But if you can get one of those and chum it up into pieces and get that oil and that chum going, it brings the fish up usually. And you saw Andrew there safetying me perfectly as always. This next clip right here, I kind of just cut it short so I didn't show you the dive going down. You guys have seen enough of that. I just kept throwing this flasher, trying to bring anything in. Not going real deep, just kind of checking everything out, looking around on different sides of this wreck, thinking maybe that's where the fish might be holding, and just putting the time in. And you'll see Andrew always right there, ready to safety me in case I need it, although we were diving well within all of our abilities. So here's another cool dive that I wanted to show. This one was specifically nice. I went real slow and then just did it just kind of a light kick and just let myself sink. I didn't tuck my head the whole time to get way down there, and just kind of drifted and looked for something to go towards. And so I'm just slowly descending. You can see the whole wreck here. It's nice and clean, and I find on this one, out of the side of the corner of my eye, a black grouper. It was a good size one. You can see it right there. It's kind of hard to see with the wide angle, but underwater they're pretty easy to pick out once you got that trained eye. And I just moseyed my way over, and that fish was super chill, and it was a big fish. It looks small in this with this wide angle lens, but that black grouper was probably, I don't know, 30 pounds, maybe 35 pounds. It was a good size, respectable grouper that I really wanted. But I was down at about 75 feet, and it was down at like, I don't know, 85, and heading down towards that 90 plus foot range. So if I shot it and I didn't stone it, it definitely would have got tangled up. So I decided, instead of spending the rest of the afternoon with these guys trying to retrieve that grouper off the top of this wreck, we came here for Wahoo. I wasn't going to shoot it. I was just going to let that thing swim by and just save everybody the effort, though. I kind of wish now that I had shot it because it was a really nice fish. But anyway, just a reminder to always keep that in mind, the retrieval of your fish. You don't want to shoot something and make the rest of your dive buddies ticked that you spend the rest of the day trying to untangle something. Lord knows I've done that before, and that's kind of why I decided not to. But you can see the ship really nice right here, guys. It's we had some good viz, and I'm zooming in right here on a dog snapper there, a big one. That one was probably in the 20-pound range, and it was pretty familiar with spearfishermen, it seemed. And Andrew had actually seen that fish and told me about it on the way out the week before he had seen it. And you could clearly see, you can't see it on camera, but with the naked eye you could see that teardrop that gave away the fact that it was a dog snapper. And it was big. They usually aren't that large. They can get that big, but that one was probably a 20-pound fish. It looked like a big cabera at first, but it was definitely a dog snapper, and he just wasn't letting us get too close.
You're talking about, he's there. That's hilarious. Get it.
And you could hear me super excited telling Andrew, oh, that's the one you saw last week. So what I was trying to do here, because it was being a little bit spooky and running back down deeper onto the deck, which is another 30 feet from the top there, was over 100 feet. I was trying to throw my flasher away from the wreck and get its attention and have it kind of swim out away from the wreck so I could meet it in the middle there. And then you'd have to swim past me to get to the wreck. So that's kind of what I was hoping for, to just distract it a little bit or just see if it'll come up. And you'll see I wasn't super deep there. I just wanted to see if it would get any sort of attraction to that. And he just wasn't reacting to that flasher. But you know, when you're out there, you want to try just about anything. We just reset our drift because that's you kind of want to hit all sides of the wreck when you're drifting. And it was getting kind of dark here, so I decided, well, we're only going to do a few more dives. The sun just went down. Decided to get something for dinner, so I shoot one of these Yellowjacks. I almost stoned it, just missed, but got a good shot on him, good holding shot. And with these Yellowjack on these wrecks, I tend to tighten down on my reel for the first 15-20 seconds kicking up. That's usually the hardest part of the fight. and just to keep them from getting tangled in the wreck, to save a shaft, to keep a Goliath grouper from eating them. And then once that first couple seconds is gone, 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever you feel comfortable with is gone, then they're usually up off that wreck still and not fighting quite as hard, and you can just pull them from the surface. But of course, just always be mindful not to overexert yourself and put yourself at risk for a blackout or anything like that. So I just pulled this fish up, and as I'm pulling it up, Andrew wanted to get some sushi too. I had the fish in my hands and was really comfortable, so he took a dive, and you can see him down there. I'm spotting him as well as bleeding my fish here. And you'll see that I stop so that I can keep an eye on him when I hear him pull the trigger. And I turn and I see that he's got that rainbow runner, and he's got the fish. So I made sure he got it. You can see that rainbow runner running around there. Andrew's pulling it in. I had just safetied him at the top, and a lot of people don't like showing gutting fish, but I like to show this just on this clip. Anytime you're drifting these wrecks, if you can gut these fish, not only does it improve the quality of the meat, keep the parasites away and things like that, but it also adds as good chum. So I knew I was going to do this one probably as some sushi later, so I wanted to make sure the meat was perfect. So anytime you can bleed and gut the fish, that's what you want. And those Yellowjacks always get me all tangled up. You can see here I made a nice spaghetti mess that I didn't actually untangle because we had one more drift I guess we're going to try and do. It was getting dark. You could hardly see anything on that last drift. Luckily my camera's really good with low light, so it actually looks lighter in the camera than it did with the naked eye. And you can see Andrew down there. I had just seen an African Pompano and shot at and missed it with this small gun before this, and I didn't record it, but you'll see me point here. I saw some African Pompano come in, and you can't see it with the camera, but I could see that reflectiveness, and Andrew saw them down there. They were about 4 or 5 really big, at least 30+ pound African Pompano. Some of the bigger ones I've seen, I'd say some of them were up there in the high 30-pound range. And because my gun was all tangled, I had this short one. I missed when I shot at the last one, so they were a little spooky and stayed away from Andrew because I had scared him off. But you can see how dark it is. All those fish followed Andrew up. Those are all different types of jacks, most of them Yellowjacks. You can see them swirling around down there. Those horse-eyed jacks were still around. And I know this is a lot of blue water, not a whole lot to look at here because it's so dark, but I wanted to show you guys realistically kind of what you have to go through to get some of these fish. A lot of them come in at nighttime or right as the sun goes down, and you can see the top of the wreck and some of these fish coming up here. And compare this to the previous clips, you can't see hardly anything, and that is what it's like when you're down there and it's this dark. But you can see the shine of the fish really well. So you'll see a lot of these different fish coming up. I'm trying to pick through these spade fish and rainbow runners and jacks and look through them to the back behind them to see if there's any African Pompano or big Yellowjacks or anything coming behind them, but I just didn't see anything. But they were definitely, the fish were coming alive, and that's why we like to go at nighttime, or at least close to nighttime as we can. Because as soon as that sun hits the horizon, everything starts to move and come up and look at you. Some of the fish with bigger eyes, a little more sensitive to light, tend to come up from that deep water to a little bit shallower. Especially those African Pompanos, we almost always see those right at sunset. So they tend to come up a little shallower in that 60, 70 foot range as opposed to being down at the bottom. So yeah, I figured because I could hardly see anything on that last dive there that we were going to be tapped out and done. You can hear us talking here.
They were right there. I'm like, please, please, please let them see it. I wish. No, it's too dark down there, I think. What do you think, Andrew? What do you think?
I think
you guys need to. We were just over the wreck right there. Yeah. We were just now getting. I saw it as we were getting on the boat. All right.
And we did one more drift. I didn't record anything because you wouldn't have seen anything, but look here with my camera in the water. You literally can't see anything. It's pitch black, but we did do a couple dives where it was that dark, and we're still able to catch the sheen of the fish. Weren't able to get close enough to those African Pompano again, but with the moonlight shining in, we were able to still see just a little, but now it's pitch black. On those deeper dives, when it's this dark and you're way down there, the camera doesn't pick up anything at all, so I didn't bother recording, and I also didn't plan on shooting anything with this shorter gun, so we called it quits. And no African Pompano, no Wahoo, but
I'm gonna unload up here.
We're gonna give it a go the next week and see what happens.
Andrew don't care.
All right, well, we only saw one Wahoo today. We stayed as late as we could. That's the moon, not the sun. The sun's been gone for about 30 minutes now, but saw some big African Pompano. A lot of other fish, but nothing's too desirable. We got a Yellowjack, hopefully I got that on film, and Andrew got a rainbow runner, and got some sushi at least, so. Anyway, we're going out tomorrow. Hopefully we get some. Yeehaw.